Tommy Rex, and you're listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now, here's your host.
Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival returns May 14th through 17th with My Chemical Romance, Tool, Bring Me the Horizon, and Shinedown. Plus, Pierce the Veil, Good Charlotte, The Offspring, Sublime, Godsmack, Breaking Benjamin, Marilyn Manson, and so many more. Sonic Temple in Columbus, Ohio, May 14th to 17th. Passes on sale now for as low as $1 down at sonictemplefestival.com.
What's going on, everybody? It's Bill Bailey with today's Boondoggle, and just been catching up with an old friend, man, that I made during times when we weren't allowed to get out and talk to each other. My friend Raven Chain from the band Sister Kill Cycle. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, what's going on? How's everybody doing tonight?
We're doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. It's just, I know you're still down there in Florida, right?
Yes, of course. Finally got a break in the cold weather, so I'm enjoying it today.
Nice. Good for you. Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited that the snow's melting out here in Cleveland, and I got to take my car through the car wash earlier, so that was nice. Get some of that salt off there.
You got to definitely get the salt off there.
Yeah. But, I'm trying to, I don't recall everything that we discussed when we first talked on back in episode 70 when you were on, but usually when I have people on, I like to ask them, like, originally, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, believe it or not, before I found rock and roll at a very early age, but I would have to say in like 4 or 5, 6-year-old, maybe an astronaut. I was really fascinated with aviation and space and flying, everything to do with it. So, but when I was 11 years old, I discovered Alice Cooper, and right then and there, I was like, that's what I want to be the rest of my life.
Nice. And then, so like you talked about discovering Alice Cooper, like what, at 11, were there any other like early influences around the house for music that caught your ear?
I mean, there were nothing really like, I guess, influential music wise, other than just enjoying it. I grew up in a very Southern gospel bluegrass kind of family. Like everybody played something. But it was like really Christian and gospel music oriented. So my first instrument, I started playing alto sax when I was probably about 7 or 8. But then, like I said, as soon as I saw Alice Cooper, and of course Alice Cooper opened the door for bands like Kiss. And then, when you find those two bands, you start digging deeper and discovering like, Bowie and Screaming Jay Hawkins and all the what I would consider like obscure theatrical type bands. So yeah, that was it. That was the downfall of Raven Chain.
Yeah, I remember myself too. My gateway was Kiss. When I first seen the Kiss Alive album, it was just like it was all over,
Yeah,
entered a whole new world.
I mean, especially I would have to say, back in that time, in that era, which, for us would have been, the very early 80s, at least for myself. And it was like, there was really nothing like that going on at the time. Alice, of course, came through the 70s. But I think like he really made like an impact with Raise Your Fist and Yell in like the 80s. So it was like I think if you would discover those bands nowadays, nobody would really pay attention too much because, of course, we've got Zombie, we've got Manson, we have these bands that have like, taken it to the next level and to the new generation. But back then, man, it was like really substantial and really stood out because nobody was doing that stuff.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then like for you then, when was it that as you were getting into that and you said you kind of performed, playing the sax and stuff like that, but when was it that you were going to start performing in more rock?
I think it was right in last year of high school for me and a couple of my buddies were in school together, and of course we were the long hair freaks and the losers and the nerds. um we really started getting to a time like that. I would say it was probably around 1990, maybe 91. We decided to form like a goth shock punk band called I.N.R.I, which, was an acronym for I've nailed right in. So it was, kind of weird being Christian and then like doing a band that was, I wouldn't say it was anti-Christian, but it definitely made people think. And, we just wanted to be as weird as possible. We would thrift store like clothes. Of course, we were all poor kids, so we couldn't afford all the cool Trip and Hot Topic stuff. So we would just throw like, the old remnants of the 70s, brown oxblood leather boots and trench coats and whatever we could to look as scary and cool as possible, try to get somewhere close to a Kiss Alice Cooper look.
Now I remember, I think when we had originally talked way back during episode 70, that you had mentioned something growing up too in like a military family.
Yeah. Pretty much everybody in my family from like my mom's side and my dad's side had been in the military of some sort at pretty much every branch. Uncle was in the Navy, grandfather was in the Army, my father was in the Army. And then, of course, like two grandfathers before that, my mom's grandparents were also in the military. So they go back to about World War II.
Gotcha. And then, like you said, kind of growing up with the Southern gospel type family and music, what was like your family's reaction when you started playing, like even with I.N.R.I?
There was, I mean, that's one thing that I had a like really cool advantage of. My family was really supportive, and being the kind of Christians they were, Southern Baptists, it was like really accepting. I had already started growing my hair out before I decided to go freaky. So I was already that kid with the long hair that stood out in, you know, uh, hillbilly West Virginia. So I was, pretty much accepted from that. And then, you know, my aunt, uh, my aunt was a really big inspiration and like pushing for me to do the weird stuff. So she kind of opened the door for it to be okay. And this is not satanic; it's just expression in theater. So that was
Nice. And then, like, when you guys started playing out, what was like the music scene like where you were growing up at?
there was no music scene. So basically, I don't want to take entire credit for it. I mean, there were a few bands that you would hear about like around town, but there were no venues. There was a place in Charleston, West Virginia that they called the Milk Bar, and it was basically like a milkshake shop, and they let like local bands set up in there and play. No PA, no nothing. So you had to bring in, it was just amps and noise, but it was pretty cool. It was called the Blossom Dairy Milk Bar. Um, So we basically had to create a scene between Nitro and Charleston and Huntington. We started out pretty much just scouting places, and I found this old warehouse in a business district, and it had closed down, and they were running a flea market in there on the weekends. So, at like 16, 17 years old, I went and like met the owners and told them, I was like, we would like to like do shows here after hours, and we'd be willing to like split the money with everybody and stuff like that. And the girl running it, the lady running it was really cool. So she gave us a shot, and we started doing like do it yourself, after hours shows in this big industrial warehouse.
Oh, that's awesome. DIY, baby.
Yeah.
And then like when did Sister Kill Cycle come together for you?
After touring pretty much, I mean, like I said, at 16, I bought a van, an old 1974 Ford Econoline, and we just started touring. We would play anywhere in the tri-state area that we could get a gig, anywhere from Pittsburgh to New York to Jersey, Ohio. So we spent like that time just playing any show we could get on. And around, I would say around 98, 99, we started taking everything like really seriously and actually becoming a product and a band. But the band name had changed a few times from I.N.R.I to I believe it was Daisy's Chain, and then the band was called Dementia, and then we found out there was another band called Dementia, so we got to change the name again. So in 2000, we decided to call the band Kill Cycle. We're like, there we go. It's like the opposite of life cycle. It's like a Europe, Eastern philosophy. From the moment you're born, you begin to die. So make the best of it. So we came up with, Kill Cycle. Um, didn't really mean to rip off Kevorkian and Death Cycle. I don't even know if they were out back then, but they might have been. But anyways, everybody, we started playing this Kill Cycle and promoting ourselves, and everybody that was coming out was like Pantera fans, like really hardcore. They thought we were a hardcore band because of the name Kill Cycle. And then they see, these four guys all dressed up in like, tight women's leather and makeup. So it made for some really interesting confrontations at these shows. So I was like, nah, this ain't gonna work. Instead of changing the band name, we just decided to throw Sister on it to soften it up, because we're like, none of these guys are gonna come to a band called Sister anything.
And then like as Sister Kill Cycle started kind of like as you were, like you said, you're playing all the shows and just kind of getting the name out there and hustling, as it started growing a following, you got on some pretty big tours and networked with a lot of other bands in the industry. You want to share some of those?
Yeah, I mean, we were a really, really hungry band. So I mean, we spent, when we weren't doing shows or out at other people's shows, like networking and meeting people, we were rehearsing. Back those days, we were probably doing 6 to 8 hour rehearsals 3 or 4 days a week. So we became really, really tight for, the lack of talent we did have. um, and image was real big. So we're always very flamboyant, always wanted to stand out. And that attracted the attention playing around the Huntington area scene of a guy named Don Maynard. I think he used to be the mayor or something, or work for like the police department. But he started doing like concerts, and they actually started getting pretty big. Um, he hooked up with a Loca Bazooka, which was a tour, I believe, out of Boston. I think the Boston radio station started doing it locally, and then they did like a 4 or 5 state tour.
Yeah, I believe that came through Cleveland. I remember that back in
Yeah,
the day.
and so they saw us playing, and they asked us to get on this battle of the bands and to perform to open up for Local Bazooka. And lo and behold, like it was us, Sister Kill Cycle, and a band called Bobaflex. You may have heard of them.
Oh
They were
yeah.
actually like our brother band in the Huntington, West Virginia area growing up. So we both landed the spot, got on there, and that was like I think the main headliner was Filter, but there was Filter, Non-Point, Mushroomhead, Seven Dust, a lot of really big bands at that time coming up, and that was the start of us actually, making our way into something bigger than just playing local shows.
Yeah, I think I remember us talking that last time too, that you did get the tour with Mushroomhead. They're, from my hometown here.
Yeah,
I know a lot of those guys. So that was and that's probably why I remember that tour as well. And then didn't you get to at some point play with like KMFDM and like Cradle of Filth and
I
Prong?
Yeah, that was well after, like, we the band, we decided to move back down to. I'm from Florida originally. I was born here, and of course, being military, I've lived back and forth my whole life. But in 2003, I wanted to move the band and everybody back down here to Florida, just because more opportunities, and I love Florida. So 2003 we moved back down here, and as soon as we basically got our crap out of the U-Haul, I started to go hit the scene and like meet and find people. And in doing so, literally probably a week after being here, I went to Ybor City, and which is kind of like a little area like Soho in Tampa, but it's really arts, crafts, restaurants, stuff like that. And went into a bar, well, I guess a theater, not a bar. Back then it was called the Masquerade, and I had happened to walk in, and I'm sitting at the bar, and I'm asking to speak to the manager, and kind of throw him the spiel, hey, we're Sister Kill Cycle, blah blah blah. Well, I end up meeting Jen from Genitorturers, and
Nice.
she, ironically enough, thought I was, Marilyn Manson. Of course, they had kind of a relationship together, and she like walks up to me. She says, "Brian, what are you doing here?" And I looked at her, and I'm like, "No, my name's not Brian. It's Shawn." And she just, of course, it freaked her out how much we look alike, Marilyn Manson and myself. And so we started talking, and I told her who I was and about my band, and she basically pulled Tom DeGeorge, who was the manager at the time, and told him, he's like, this guy's looking for a show, give him a show. So our first show in Florida was actually for like a 3,000 seat theater.
Nice.
And of course, through those relationships, Tom and all those people, we got to open for some of the biggest acts that came down through in Florida, KMFDM. I mean, there are just like so many to name.
Yeah, I remember seeing like I think Bile on the list too back in the
We're
day.
actually good friends with the guys from Bio.
Yeah, I became like friends with them when they would come through Cleveland, and they actually like their old like VHS that they put out. They like thanked me in the credits and
Oh,
stuff because they
awesome.
used some of the footage that I recorded for them at a show. But I got to meet them when I went up to New York, and this was around the time I was still working like with Mushroomhead, and I was like, wow, that would be quite a ticket, because their stage show was pretty similar, They had this is back when Mushroomhead still had like Roxy in the band, and
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and then Bile had the women out there. But yeah, I became friends with Christoph and Bear. Um, Um, but do you now what when you guys were on tour like with Mushroomhead, how did that relationship go?
It was cool. I got to meet a couple of the guys, out of costume because, we did do 3 shows on that tour. So uh they were cool. I mean, I didn't realize at the time, I kind of had the rock star thing, thinking, they were this big, huge band, but I didn't realize they were normal guys. So, um, we would, sit and talk at like the Chow tent and stuff like that. But I really spent a lot of time on that tour with Lejean from Seven Dust and his wife at the time. And dude, I gotta tell you, LJ from Seven Dust is one of the sweetest dudes in the world. I mean,
Oh
just
yeah.
he just like kind of took care of us.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. He's definitely I met him a few times at some festivals and stuff. And always down to earth. I love it when people remain humble. They're easier to work with and you want to do more with them and help them and support them.
Yeah, man. Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I was going through. I don't know if this was. I don't think this was recorded at the last time that we talked because yeah, it was like way back during that those lockdown days. But you did like a mini movie video. Can't feel.
Oh yeah.
Um, and let's talk a little bit about you that creating that and you being like becoming like Raven Wick.
Yeah.
It even
I
had a
just
cameo from your own. It had a John Wick cameo in it too, huh? With the
Yeah,
lookalike.
yeah, it was cool. That's actually a friend of mine called Ryan Bigard, and he does do that. He goes to like the all the film things and stuff like that. He's got like the real suit, and he looks just like the guy. So I just thought it was funny. It would be funny to like kind of throw it in there. I always had this idea with the band to be theatrical and all over the top. Um, and I always wanted to do more than just music videos. I've always been interested in theater and acting and movies and stuff like that. I've got probably my own blockbuster, movie theater, movie rental place here in my house. So, um, I just when we wrote that record, I knew a couple of the songs on there really stood out, and were really what I felt were awesome songs, and I just wanted to expand on them and the idea that I was going through with the album. I wanted to kind of portray that, on screen so people could actually see what was going on inside of my head at the time. So I got with Thomas Crane from Kill Devil Films, and we pretty much just I told him, it's like, I want to do a mini movie, dude. So I'll let you direct it. We'll co-collab on like ideas and stuff, but I'll let you pretty much run with it. And that's what we put together.
Nice. Yeah, it came out really good. And then I saw, I noticed in it. I'm like, okay, well, yeah, this guy definitely did have some military relations because she had very good trigger discipline, throughout
Oh,
the
you
action
yeah.
scenes. Yeah. And then I wanted to ask about your single Desolation. Um, what's like the inspiration or the meaning for that?
Desolation on this new record. It's basically, to sum it up, is I realized during the period of writing this record that, you know, I'm not going to live forever, and the realization that we do have a mortality and it's running out. And so I kind of got, like, for a period, like really frightened and really messed up in my head about the fact that I start seeing all these people my age and close to my age dying, who are, famous and they have money and they can go get treatments and all this stuff, but they're still passing away. I'm like, wow. I'm like, this could be me anytime now. I just passed that 50 age, which is, I guess real scary for a lot of people. It was for me. So it just basically the idea that we're all running out of time, and seeing yourself actually as immortal, and you got to make amends, you got to do what you got to do and be the best you can be.
Yeah, I agree, man. And speaking of me, I'll be hitting the 5'3" here in a couple of weeks. So, um, yeah, it seems like my most of my high school reunions or connections with friends happen now at funerals, which I'm like, man, you know, why don't we get together and plan something on under better circumstances? I guess, you know.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's very scary, man. I mean, you know, there is like that magic thing that happens like when you hit 50. It does change. And now I know what all the cards and what everybody was talking about over the hill. It's like
Yeah.
it's a mental change as well.
Oh, dude, yeah, it's a physical one as well. I I feel that quite a bit. I'm actually currently I set myself up talking to a friend of mine who is older than me, but very healthy and in shape and stuff, and he talked me into doing a water fast, and I'm currently like 80 something hours into it right now while we're doing this conversation. I told him I was breaking it today. I just wanted to reach 72, and I told him I was going to start eating again today. But like, what was been good about it is I noticed, because dude, I was drinking a lot of energy drinks and stuff like that, and then I'm freaking pissing like a racehorse. And since I've been actually just on a water fast, I've been like peeing less. It's like my body's acting like how it's supposed to, like, and I have energy. I feel good. I could probably go longer, but reading the studies I was reading, I don't want to start. I want to lose the fat, but I don't want to lose like the muscle and all that. So,
Right.
I think, just that's something that, I don't know. And like you said, and you think about our mortality, and I'm like, okay, what am I willing to do? I've had a lot of people that, getting cancer, and I have some theories behind that, but that could take us to like an Alex Jones like episode or something.
Yeah.
As many
I'm
people as
I'm sure we both could go there.
yeah. But anyway, I'm feeling good. I'm doing this, and like I said, I think I could probably go longer, but I'm going to follow his advice on what I should start adding and try and keep eating clean and stay active, because there's a lot of other stuff out there that I think I need to be physically ready for, than than just age itself.
Yeah.
Speaking
Yeah.
of, it's kind of like I guess a good segue to your cover of Bad Moon Rising, from CCR. Let's talk a little bit about picking that, because it seems like in our country today there is kind of a bad moon rising out there.
Yeah. I'm glad you picked up on that. Couple people have, and it is kind of a warning song. It's really weird, being in Sister Kill Cycle, because we do have fans that are like, quite a bit older, but we also have fans that are, younger. And, to hear a song like that in like, the 80s, and, everybody from our era, every Vietnam movie had, Fortunate Son, and like CCR like pumped out like these anthemic, like, we're going to war, this is coming down. I just always loved CCR back in the day, and of course, I love that song, and I was like, I've always wanted to cover it, but anytime it was like attempted, the band wanted to do it in like some sort of like punk rock style of the same rendition, just maybe even faster and heavier. And I was like, I don't want to just sing it like, like a bumpkin, like I see a bad moon around. As much as like John, his voice, lended very well to it.
You're not
So
going back to those Southern gospel roots, right?
right, right. So I just, I wanted to do something and like do a take on it and not necessarily cover the song exactly how the song goes. I mean, it's the same song. It's in there. I basically just chopped it in half and slowed it down. And then just made it very, very cinematic. It is actually the theme song in a movie coming out this year called Blood of the Ripper. So
Nice.
I got with a guy, and he wanted me to write some music for the movie, and I was just like, well, how about I just do a cover of Bad Moon Rising? I've been wanting to do that anyways, and there you go. I basically sat and produced it and put it together myself, and dropped it. I believe it came out in November.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. I've been digging it, man. And it's funny, you mentioned Fortunate Son. I've got my fiance who's like in her early 30s. She is a firefighter, EMT, and like Fortunate Son is like the jam whenever they have to hit the lights and sirens, you know, to go to go out. And it's funny how, like you said, the different ages you wanted to play, you know, redo this for your fans, but I'm surprised at how many how the original like CCR is still like, a lot of the younger fans are still, well into that as well, it's stood the test of time.
Yeah, I mean, it just go there's some artists, out there that are able to do that, and it's actually kind of amazing. I mean, you think of where CCR came back from, like the '60s, so this is what, 4 generations now, and their songs are still relevant. So that's pretty incredible, actually.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to checking out that film too because I enjoy the single. I'd love to see it, you know, set with the tone of the film. Do you have any idea like where that will be available? Is that going to be in theaters or?
I know they're going to do a premiere in Los Angeles that I've been invited out to. So I think we're gonna go to that. I think it's gonna be in like very few select theaters, but I think it's gonna go straight to like IMDb internet stuff.
All right, gotcha. And then your latest album, We Were Ghosts. Uh, I want to talk a little bit about that title track and like the um, inspiration for that uh, album.
It ties into like what we were talking about with Desolation. Um I don't really find myself or the guys and I, when we start working, we don't really do uh theme albums, if you will. But like I said, this the age thing impacted me so much, and just everything that's been going on coming out of the whole COVID thing, and the we're in like this political war with Biden and Trump, and I'm not going to elaborate on that too much because I don't think musicians and artists and movie stars should talk about politics at all. It's
Yeah,
no business, if you vote, go in the voting booth and vote. It's a private thing. That's it. It's done. I don't need to influence you who to listen to or follow or anything like that. But yeah, just the state of the world. It's like, really fucked up. And it inspired me to like just, is this the end? Is this going to be the end? And it really made me start self-reflecting about, everything, my behavior, drinking, health, everything like that. So basically, We Were Ghost, it is about that. It's like we're all out of here, man. There's no end to the ride's going to end. It won't keep going forever. And where are we going to be? What's going to happen? Is there an afterlife? What do you believe in? And I always try to write somewhat vague lyrically, to give my fans, my listeners, a way to interpret the song themselves. But I put the basic ingredients in there and then let them run with whatever the song makes them feel.
Yeah, I remember too, like, I've been on that same journey, like doing a lot of growing, like I think like what like I think I talked about before we even went on is how we originally connected. Because what I respected a lot, and we're not picking sides politically, we're just talking about what we feel is right, what this country was founded on, and like our freedom to choose, our freedom to, like you said, vote however we choose to vote, and our freedom to speak our mind. And it was being challenged a lot during that time. There was that cancel culture war going on, and I did see a lot of musicians that I like respected and thought were punk rock and stuff, like kind of towing the line, during that time period. But what I loved and respected about you is you were still speaking up for freedom and for our military and our first responders, even though it wasn't popular. It was being termed, looked at as not popular. We were facing the cancel culture, and you were just like, fuck it, And I think the pendulum has started to swing the other way, but now I have a whole nother theory that, these things are meant to happen until we just like keep choosing ourselves to vote ourselves out of our freedoms, and basically rip up the Constitution. I think it's all like theater, but that's, like I said, a whole nother podcast we could get into. But like I said, like during that time when we first connected and talked, I like that you were a musician that wasn't afraid to kind of like speak up for like truth,
Yeah, I mean, I've always just looked at things as, right is right and wrong is wrong. It doesn't take a lot of thought if you actually apply some logic and reason, that some things are just ineptly wrong. It's just, it's just wrong. And when when they came along and started doing that, and like silencing people on social media and stuff like this, and then I was actually a victim of cancel culture myself. I had a whole tour canceled because of these same people making up allegations and calling promoters and getting a tour shut down. And I just got to the point, I'm like, you know, fuck you. Fuck you guys. Who the fuck do you think you are? You're not gonna stop me. You can't cancel me because I won't stop. If you ban me from this venue, I'll go to that venue. And if you ban me from all the venues, I will start renting places and do my own shows.
Yeah, dude. I've had Michael Graves on from the Misfits, and that dude, man, I mean, he same thing. He's dealt with, so many times, and it's like nobody actually talks to the people and gets to know them and hears their side of the story. They go by what the headlines are telling them and what, like, they parrot what everybody else around them, the group think or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, you go back and watch my interview with Michael Graves, man. Great dude, great guy, and just believes in the same things that we believe in, and it got to the point for him where he just like was doing shows, doing tours where people would like let him play in their living room and shit,
Right.
like, and I hated when I would see, like, there were so many times he would try and come back through the area here, and there was a venue that was going to host him, and then other artists, were posting things on the Facebook page saying you can't have him play and whatever. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you a true artist if you're not gonna let, just because you don't agree maybe with his art or his beliefs, we're eating each other,
And that's the thing that's funny is we've allowed so many of these normal people to infiltrate, this idea of music and theater and movies, and they have no idea. Rock and roll is supposed to be rebellion. It's supposed to be dangerous. It's not supposed to be suited to your wants and needs. And, again, we could go on a whole rant, and I could actually tell you and the world how I really feel. But it's like, you know, we become so watered down and so pussified, and we allow it to happen because of people's feelings. Guess what? It sucks to be you, I'm sorry. It sucks to be you. If you get offended by something, that's your problem to deal with. Don't stop, something going on out there, because it's part of the world. It's part of history. It's how things roll. And for these people, these artists and shit that just bow down and go along with the flow, and just to fit into society so they don't get canceled. Who the hell are they? Fuck them. You ain't nobody. You're fake. You're fake.
Yeah.
You have no gravity to yourself. You have no integrity. So, I went on that spill for I went on that spill for a while, and it got me in a bunch of hot water. But you know I've never been afraid, in 40 years with this band and playing music. I've never been afraid to, like, make waves or step on the cracks or go out on the deep end. I was born to do this. So I was born to be canceled.
And that's exactly why I originally reached out to you during that time, man. I have the utmost respect for you doing that, man. It's I'm with you. I mean, maybe we'll have you back another time, and we'll just be like, really let loose on what we think about everything that's going on in the world today. But dude, I'm with you, man. And it's like, what else do you got to lose? If you have, you got to keep your integrity. You got to keep your belief in yourself. And like you said, music is supposed to be rebellious. So I definitely encourage people to get behind and support you guys. Speaking of, like, tours getting canceled and stuff, are there any tours on the horizon to support this new album?
Oh yeah, definitely. We've taken some time this year to really start promoting and push the record. Social media is like a weird game nowadays, and the record industry in itself is strange. Um, I'm always the one to, like, let the rabbit out of the hat and tell industry secrets, but pretty much every artist today has to pay for what we call promotion. And it's ad sets, it's streams, it's stuff like that, which is another reason why, I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm gonna do it anyways. I hate Spotify. I wish we could boycott Spotify. I think it's the biggest crap piece of shit out there. Um, but yeah, so we basically had to do the thing and pay some money to get the promotions going and stuff like that. But we've got a 3-day weekend coming up in the end of March. We're gonna do here in Florida, and then we're looking at a couple festival dates through the summer, and then I know the last 2 or 3 weeks of June, we're going to be touring up in your area. Actually, we're going to be coming back up through. We're going to hit Cleveland, probably New York, and then definitely a bunch more of like Ohio, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Midwest stuff there, and then come back south.
Well, nice. When you come up to Cleveland, we'll definitely have to connect in real time.
Oh yeah, for sure. I got you VIP.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah, and like you were saying, dude, it's just like I'm with you, man. It's like I got into this podcast thing pretty much during, the COVID, and it's more for me, I mean, I try and remind myself I'm doing this for myself. It's for my like mental health. It's like you're talking about, how trying to be healthier and stuff and not drinking as much. It's like this Sunday I'll have 17 years sober, and
Awesome.
as I was adjusting to not having that liquid courage and being comfortable with myself, this podcast has been part of my therapy, my healing, to connect and talk to people in like real time without any social lubricant or anything else. And so that's what I'm most grateful for. But the game, is like trying to get the views so you can get the interviews you want to get or get the access you want to get. You got to get the streams. I have to play the Spotify game too. You got to get the I mean, I ain't paying anybody because it's like I ain't making nothing to pay,
Right.
really. But I've had since I've been doing the YouTube too, like during that time frame, I got shadow banned a couple times for some of the guests I had on in the conversations we had that were told were medical misinformation and all the other shit during that time, which now, all these years later, gee, a lot of that shit's becoming being exposed as being true. But anyway, it sucks, man. It sucks to like I said, I remind myself why I'm doing this and try not to let the amount of views or subscribers and streams, affect me. But it would be nice because I feel like I have a lot of solid conversations with artists and people on here that I would like to see get more views and exposure. It is what it is, though. I'm got to stay true to who I am as well, like you said.
Yeah.
So hey, before we get ready and wrap up, man, I want to ask you some of the questions I normally ask my guests. Like I said, way back in episode 70 when I had you on, I think I was still trying to figure out how I was doing this thing, so now I have some questions that I like to ask at the end. I don't know if I was doing them back then, but you mentioned some of your artists that have influenced you along the way, but who are the top 3 artists you're listening to today?
Today. Oh wow. I would probably say Manson, Lady Gaga, and probably Sisters of Mercy.
Nice. And then I know this is going to be a good one. What class do you feel should be mandatory before we graduate high school today?
I would definitely say civics.
Yeah, bring that back.
Back when I went to school, we had civics and social studies. There were 2 classes, but I think civics because a lot of these kids don't even know what that means. They never heard of it. I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, now that I think about it, there's so many classes that we had growing up that actually prepared us how to be human beings in the world that they have no idea about it. You know, like, these kids don't even know what a check is, let alone how to balance a bank book. You know, um,
Yep.
I love technology. I love the future. I love stuff like that. But I think at the same time, it goes back to that old thing. If we don't learn from our mistakes, we don't learn from our past, we're doomed to repeat them. I think we need to find a way to take the ideals, the ideology, and the old school way of things of doing things and like meld it together with like new ways to future and stuff like that. Like, you know, music industry, for example. Yeah, we have streaming. Everybody has these digital things that they carry around with them, store their whole life on. But what happens when your phone falls in a pond and all that music that you bought is gone?
Yeah.
You know, we can have both. We can have records, we can have CDs and digital. It's all great, you know.
Yeah, I've seen people actually have mental health breakdowns when they got locked out of their, like, you know, Snapchat or social media. You know, it's like that's my whole life. Everything's on there, you know, for everybody else. It's like there's convenience to it, but I'm still like old school. Like I like to hold something, you know. I like to have a physical copy of things, you know, especially when it comes to music and albums, you know.
And I think they would too. It's you know, I think the market is there for the fans because I mean think about it. We have so many young people with ADHD and all these, you know, issues that they're dealing with. You know, I think having a physical CD and something tactile, you know, to uh to touch and smell and like the interaction, I think it would actually be better for like the younger kids that are getting into this stuff now than just the digital cold world because you know there's so many spectrum of autism and things like that. I think it would be a benefit, and I think it's you know would behoove the record industry to get their head out of their asses and like turn things around.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. You know, I'm seeing it with you know, even my fiance's kids are young, you know, and how easily they get bored. They get bored so quick. You know, they can only play so many games on their phone or, you know, on the Xbox, you know, and it's just like, yeah, because they need to be out there doing something physical or holding something physical, you
Yeah.
know. And it's just yeah, it's sad, man. Um and then who are like three people who've inspired you and you can credit for making you the person you are today?
uh, Definitely my mother. I would say definitely my mother. She's been my biggest supporter my entire life, and I'm fortunate she's still alive, and I still get to call her every single day and talk to her. She just turned 80 years old, which is crazy because back in the day that was grandma, and it's like so weird seeing your mom become grandma. Uh, I would say the probably probably the guys in my band. I know that's more than one person, but I kind of, you know, we're like a real tight family, and it's like all the guys in my band like inspire me. That we've been together these last couple of years with this lineup. They really are. They really are something special in our relationship. The way we do things together, we really encourage each other and help each other grow. It's always something you know, even myself, I've been doing this a long time, but you know, I still learning things, and it's really cool. So I would have to include them as one of the third person. And then of course my wife Casey is like probably the most amazing person in the whole freaking world. She makes me the best version of me that I am. And you know, normally the young kid who's ready to throw down fists and scrap in a moment's notice. she has turned me into a much more down to earth. I don't want to say tame rebel, but a much more responsible rebel.
Dude, I feel you there, man. My fiance's government name is Casey, and she's been doing the same with me. Even with the age gap, she's helped me grow up. She's teaching me how to grow up and be more responsible and I guess tame. Still rebellious, but more compassion. I mean, and dude, the shit that she sees and deals with on a daily basis, like the ugliest stuff of this world as an EMT and firefighter, and she still sees it like through a child's eyes, man. And it helps me not get so jaded. I love that. So I feel you there. And speaking of a child's eyes, man, got to ask you, favorite toy as a child?
Favorite toy as a child? That would definitely be like electric model trains. I absolutely loved trains when I actually still do. If I had the time to continue with that hobby, I probably would still do it to this day. Back I was like really fascinated with things like that engineering and trains and all that stuff. So yeah, probably electric trains would be my favorite toy.
Nice. And then finally, any message you have for our military members that are currently serving overseas?
Just same as always. Keep your head on a swivel and, have your brother six, and all of us back home here are rooting for you and praying for you.
Awesome. Hey, man, it was great re-catching up with you on here. For anybody out there that might be new to hearing about Sister Kill Cycle and want to support you guys and, check out some of the music in the videos or whatever, where would you send them?
Just go to our website, sisterkillcycle.com. We pretty much have links to all of our social media, videos, background. You can, merch stores on there. Of course, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're everywhere. You pretty much just Google Sister Kill Cycle and you'll find us. We're the most famous, unfamous band in the world.
Awesome. Hey, man.
The greatest band that you've never heard of.
There you go. Yeah, definitely. They got to check out your Raven Wick little mini movie and stuff out there. So definitely hit you guys up on YouTube, see what you guys got going on. And I am looking forward to maybe catching you in real time in Cleveland coming up this summer. You have to let me know the details when those get announced.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Awesome, man. Thanks again for your time.
Thanks, brother. As always, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
All right.
All right! Listen up! Hold on to your seats. Grab your girls, grab your beers.
Hey everybody, this is Charlie from Anthrax, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
This is Mark Metcalf, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio.
You are listening to today's Boondoggle with Bailey on Domain Cleveland Radio. Yes, Kato Kalin listens to this all the time.
Welcome to today's Boondoggle. Now here's your host.
I am Monty Heath, so one Heath, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle.
Hey, what's up? It's John from Skillet, and you are listening to today's Boondoggle on Domain Cleveland Radio.
Fasten your seatbelt.